And we are live. And this is our Digital Nomad podcast. And my name is Jane. I'm a trend researcher. And one of the best ways to research trends is talking to people who are a part of those trends. And since both Maria and I are digital nomads for a while now, we've decided to make this podcast and talk about the trends in person. And also one more thing, this is more like an internal joke, but we've decided that as people who are trying to be savvy with everything, and we're both using the free version of Zoom, we are trying to fit into 40 minutes to be quick, agile, productive, and for this to be fun for the people who are watching.
Yeah, so it's like a super challenge for two friends, actually.
Yeah, this is our experiment. So to say, we have talked about this a lot, and now we are trying to open this up to other people. But at first, we need some introductions.
Yeah, and to start with actually, and to add a bit to your introduction, like we just started to discuss it among ourselves, and we decided, let's other people also hear our smart ideas and thoughts about the topic. So how can we keep it so close? Like let's open it. So as Zhenya mentioned, I'm also digital nomad by accident. Actually, I didn't plan it at all, and maybe it will be a part of our story later on. But now I do live in different countries, and right now, for example, I'm in London, and next week I'm traveling to Sri Lanka. So that's kind of, is it like enough for beginning? How do you think, or should I tell you a bit more?
This is more than enough to say that, yeah, you are between London and Sri Lanka, and I am in Montenegro, lived in Turkey for a while before that. So this is our geography. But I think we should start with the introductions in a more professional way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's tell people who we are and what we are doing.
Mm-hmm. All right. So in this case, I have to say that, let's say the majority of my career was in IT, and I was working in vendors, distributors, reseller companies, mostly in Russia. But I had a chance to cover also some regions outside of Russia as well. And starting from last year, I changed the industry, and right now I work for digital marketing agency. We're actually promoting mobile applications. So I still feel like it is an IT because it's a lot about technology still. It's not kind of creative part of work or something. And also I have to mention probably here that I'm definitely not a technical person. I'm a salesperson, like 100%. So I'm like jumping between sales and marketing and trying to balance these two things because they're super connected.
Yeah.
So that's my short story.
Yeah, and the story of balance, I think we're going to touch it a lot today because talking about my career, it's also a balance of many things. I started as a financial analyst with a dream of becoming a Big Three consultant. I have actually become one with Bain in 2020, but pandemic got in the way with the lockdowns and everything. And it wasn't really a long story. And then I have also jumped into the IT industry in Russia and realized that it's a good path for me to be. But
And
then,
actually, it was the moment when we've met together. Do you remember?
yeah,
When we
exactly,
like was in the bit, yeah.
So
It was those. I'm so sorry. It was so exciting because it was one moment when we had like the opportunity to meet once upon a time in Moscow, and since then all our meetings were online because suddenly we ended up in different countries and different industries as well.
yeah, and I think the story, yeah, you're right. The story of digital nomadism starts right there, because we have been two professionals with nice careers. I've switched to tech. I was working in this big holding with social media projects. VK, you were working. Which company was it?
So in those it was a cybersecurity company, Fortinet, American company that was like had actually branch office in Russia during like last 6 years before events that happened in February last year. So yeah, it was kind of completely different world right now for me.
Yeah, and so the setup of our world, that we were two professionals with a nice career, with some career track, with aspiration to grow in similar companies, maybe in similar positions,
Yeah.
and maybe with some dreams to spend more time by the sea, maybe travel more. But this was all a nice extra, I would say.
Yes, exactly. And I actually enjoyed being in the office. I really liked our very nice office in Moscow City. So I've never dreamed to let it go and become a digital nomad, actually. So it's like never been my plan. So I don't know what happened. What happened that suddenly we end up with this situation.
Oh, that's interesting, and that was actually on my list of questions. So for you, it
Mhm.
was never a story in the making, no?
Sorry. Ah, can
So
you
for
please repeat it?
you, you didn't aspire to be a digital nomad.
No. No, it's like, you know, I'm one of these girls that I really like big cities, wearing high heels, going out every evening to some kind of restaurants and enjoy the time with meeting clients in the office, traveling from time to time, definitely, and maybe in those particular moments, I already had an opportunity, for example, to buy a ticket to any place, any moment, and I didn't have any troubles with it. So I've never um, thought to change something in this case
Mhm.
because it was enough for me. Yes, I like traveling, but at the same time, it was enough. It's like everything was pretty easy before pandemic, of course. It's like during pandemic, everything has changed like significantly. But it was like it changed for everybody again. But so digital nomads had the same kind of let's say limitations in terms of traveling as well. So I've never thought about this idea. So
Mhm.
it's really kind of crazy right now for me.
For me, it was a little bit different because I've come to tech early in 2021. So it was still pandemic time, but I realized that corporate high heels, smart office, dressing in a suit story
Mhm.
was
Yeah,
starting
yeah.
to be kind of behind me. So I was talking to
Mm.
people who were wearing hoodies, not coming to office, being a little bit sluggish
Oh,
on the
wow.
outside, all super productive on the inside, focused on the work and not on this beautiful
Mhm.
luxury, so to say, appearance. Uh,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
was also starting to think that maybe it would be nice to spend time in Turkey during the winter, because
Aha.
Moscow climate was starting really to get me, honestly. But those were just thoughts. It was maybe in 2021. I was thinking, but merely an idea. But
You just
mhm.
reminded me. Yes, I had almost the same kind of type of thought about winter because it was the first time in my life, exact during this year, like that you mentioned, 2021, I guess, or maybe 22. like 21, like the January 22, I think. It was the first time in my life when I negotiated with my boss that I will work for 2 weeks out, like in Thailand. So it will be in addition to my, let's say, annual vacation. So I will spend like few weeks of vacation in Thailand, and I will stay like 2 more weeks, combining the kind of work and some nice time on the beach, because especially because it's time difference, it's pretty easy to manage, like in the morning you're going to the beach, and during the day in the evening you just spend your time doing your work. So sounded pretty nice, but I realized that it was super difficult for me. So I felt this kind of climate is too hot for me. I couldn't manage myself at all. I couldn't like start to work. I spent so much energy and effort just to push myself to start to do something. So like I was so relieved when I came back to Moscow to my regular, office hours.
Yeah,
So
and actually the thought about Turkey actually got me.
yeah.
It was in Turkey, and this was also my first workation, so to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
As well. So it's really
Yeah, as
interesting.
well. So we actually started living it at first, but it was kind of a luxury, something we didn't need. And I think I would love to hear the story, which you called shedding the luxury lifestyle before. So could you tell how you transitioned from this being a luxury to this being actually the only lifestyle?
It was a long one. It happened without any planning as well. So when we got the news that actually all American companies and European companies leaving the market, I realized that it's time to change something in my life, because the overall IT market literally kind of was destroyed in Russia, collapsed. Yes. So like in those moments, of course, right now we can't say this because like everything just transformed in some way, but in those moments it's like it looked like this, like the whole world just like crushed in front of my eyes, and I realized that I just don't see place for myself inside the country, and I really want to try to find something worldwide. I mean, maybe in another companies, maybe in another industries, but definitely I need to do something like outside. And my first idea was actually UK and London, because I was studying there and I really love London, and I really like to spend time here, and it was like my first thought.
And you
So I
were the
spent
lucky girl with the visa.
Yes, it was really like a huge luck that I got this visa literally like a few days before all these changes had happened. So I just had to wait for some time and buy a ticket and go and try myself. Definitely had a lot of challenges to solve, like in terms of like managing my finances, managing my like cards, payments, visas, like scheduling interviews and so on and so on. So I had a lot of different these tiny things that I had to manage during this time. And unfortunately, I couldn't, or luckily, we never know, like to make it short, to make this story a bit shorter, after 5 months, I had to leave London because I didn't have, let's say, rights to stay longer in those moments. And I decided to go to Sri Lanka because my friend invited me to spend 1 month there. And I couldn't refuse this option because like, why not? For me, in those moments, I already worked in a startup that provide only remote work. So we, like the whole team, worked remotely. differently. Like, so it doesn't matter which country I'm choosing for living and for work. So I decided to go to Sri Lanka, and for 1 month only. I didn't plan to spend it longer because I remember my experience in Thailand. I had this like fear that I will have a lot of struggles to push myself and to do something in this kind of unusual heat for me, you know. And after a few weeks, I realized that actually everything is fine. I'm doing great in this environment. I like it. And surprisingly, as soon as I spend my time in Sri Lanka, and of course I work there, which means that I spend the majority of my time inside the room with the laptop. Yes, from time to time I'm going to the beach or enjoying some other activities. But it felt like enough, you know, and I after like maybe a few months, I realized that I don't need much for this happy life, you know. So the island is so amazing. You literally put your swimsuit on and you're already ready to go like almost everywhere. Of course, I'm a bit exaggerating, but still it's pretty true. And of course, no high heels, but I had one pair, you know, in my luggage.
I have zero right now.
I can't, you know, I can't let them go, you know, they're still with me. I I just have this dream that once upon a time I will have an invitation to some ball and I will go with my but of course it won't happen. Anyway, it, it just became very simple. So the overall life, the overall kind of environment, which is not required to me like to do anything extra in terms of like dressing up, I don't know, preparing myself for some extreme cold, for example, because I've spent at the end of the day, I spent like half a year in Sri Lanka after my arrival, so I just didn't go back anywhere. I liked it so much, and I saw so many people who are living very simple life around me, and they're happy, and I thought, why not? Looks like it also works for me. And I don't miss a big city. Okay. I miss a bit, but definitely it's not something like that I can't handle. And let's say the biggest bonus is actually very reasonable cost of living there.
Yeah, I remember you
Yes.
telling me that you like need a couple of swimsuits and maybe
Yes.
$300 per month, and that's about it.
Yes, exactly. And it's kind of very new experience for me because I was like the whole my life I was living in Moscow. So after that I end up in London, which is like even more expensive than Moscow. And now like directly from London, I'm flying to Sri Lanka and realizing that it can be different. You cannot just like it is possible not to spend the whole your income for your life, everyday kind of for spendings, and be happy and don't feel that you're losing something, and feeling that actually right now you're having a lot of flexibility to make any other, for example, investments or maybe projects or experiments or whatever, you know, like depends on your imagination actually.
So,
So I like this.
what made you realize that
Mhm.
this is enough, actually? That you're not missing a big city?
um it's a very good question, and I like, you know, they say that you can't escape from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's kind of very, very connected to this idea that no matter where are you going, or which place, and no matter where do you live, you always have yourself and your set of mind. And as soon as I feel entertained in Moscow and busy in London, I have this feeling everywhere. You know, I'm not bored at all. I don't, and I would say that pandemic also kind of prepared ourselves for this change, at least for me personally, definitely. Like everybody is just but all my friends, they're very, very close to me. For example, you, like we've met only once in Moscow personally, and after that, like the majority of our time we're spending like having these nice conversations via Zoom. And I don't feel any kind of limitations here. Like I don't feel that I miss something. For me, it doesn't matter if we like meet with you, for example, in person. So yes, a lot of my friends live in Moscow, but I can call them, I can invite them to our online meetings, for example. I can participate in different online events. And of course, I can go out on the island in Sri Lanka and to do something, for example, surfing, which is definitely not impossible to do in Moscow. Okay,
Exactly.
now it's possible. Now it's possible. They have very interesting kind of entertainment in terms of surfing, like and the trainings, like even like artificial waves that like you're literally surfing in Moscow, like you don't need to do it even on the river. You can do it indoor, but still, of course, it's not the seaside, so
Yeah,
still Sri
and
Lanka is better.
it was the same for me, but with running by the seaside,
Mm-hmm.
swimming in the sea. I came to Turkey because I wasn't a lucky girl with visa, but I
Mm-hmm.
was a lucky girl with a fresh and empty passport. This was also
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so I came to Turkey, and as I'm joking, I chose my place to live on Google Maps. I opened Google Maps and said, "Oh well, this is the seaside, the promenade. I'm going to be
Yeah.
running on."
Nice way, actually. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's really
and I
awesome.
did run there, and I think you agree with me that you realize that this is kind of a nice lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And when you realize it, that I have enough in my every single day, which is filled with spending time on the beach, communicating
Mm-hmm.
with local people, communicating with your friends over Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like you're not missing anything there.
Yeah, definitely. Like, they say that most probably we will miss some kind of, social life like theaters, cinemas, or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh Maybe I'm not cultural enough in this case. So it's not like I don't miss this stuff at all. In terms of cinemas, like you can find them like literally everywhere, including Sri Lanka, of course. Maybe not in every village, but if you want it, you can go there.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I wanted to discuss with you one thing we
hmm
are definitely missing now. Uh,
yeah,
I remember you called it the
uh-huh.
lack of care from a big brand, like being
Yeah,
behind a brand. So this is back to the work stuff, definitely.
yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
the story behind this for people who are listening is that we had a brand, we just didn't realize it. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I was working for one of the largest IT companies in Russia, like
Mm-hmm.
Russian born, but one of the largest, the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah.
also ex-consulting. So every now and then I got a call from HRs from other big companies, and they were saying,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we need people with experience like yours.
Yes,
And
yes.
this is exactly what a brand does. We just didn't realize it. And it was, of course, not a personal brand. It was a employing
Mm-hmm.
company brand. And you
Yeah,
had that too because you have worked for American companies much longer than I did. Uh,
yeah.
I bet you
And
have those calls every now and then as well.
Yes, and maybe most kind of biggest loss here, as soon as I was in sales, and I'm still in sales, but I was in sales in the big company. And what happened there is actually when you're working under the big umbrella and very well-known brand, it means that you don't spend a lot of time and effort to sell the brand or to sell the company. The only thing that you need to do is actually to sell yourself in most of cases. So, and as soon as you believe in your product and in your brand, the rest is kind of follows. Like you literally kind of save a lot of time. And in some cases, maybe you even don't realize how easy it is. So, for example, before Fortinet, I was working for Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and which means it's like the brand that had 65% of the market, of Russian market, which means like literally more than like 65% of companies already had this brand on site. So it's super easy to sell it and to deliver it to the market. And of course, we had our local challenges in terms of like promoting new products and so on. But overall, at least people interested in you, listening you.
Exactly.
And
People are
yeah,
interested in you.
yes.
And then I think you got the same experience, similar. You go
Mm-hmm.
to that other markets in other countries, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, nobody is interested in who you are and what you are, which does not
Mm-hmm.
mean that you are bad or anything. It just means that you are no name.
Yes.
How
And
did you deal with that?
it was super hard because like it happened suddenly. So first of all, I lost like this big brand behind me, and the second one, I lost my network because of course the main network was in Russia, and now I'm trying to go to the international market and for example UK market in particular those moments. And of course nobody knew me, and in sales it feels like everything just disappeared in terms of my experience because I don't have this network among the colleagues. I don't have network among clients. So, and in most cases, we have to be honest. When you hire a salesperson, you most probably hire not the salesperson, but actually his or her network.
The
And
notebook.
like list,
Notebook.
yes, exactly, list of contacts, like with very important people, that actually make the decisions. And of course, I didn't have it for UK market, and it was tough. I had a feeling that and a huge question for myself: who am I, and why I feel myself so lost after like 15 years of successful work? Why I feel so kind of powerless in this moment right now. So
And so,
it,
how did you figure that out? At least the part you did.
you know, like when I face some challenges in terms of my inner, kind of questions or struggles or anything, like my first move is actually going to psychologist or coach. So in this case, I did like both of these actions because I felt it's like a huge question that I couldn't solve and answer and to move forward because of this. And after several sessions and evaluations of what happened and what actually I have to do and so on, I end up with a very funny, or maybe not funny, but really this picture inside of my head that actually before, when I was working in Russia, when I was working for a famous company, and I did it I for such a long time, I I felt myself like a very nice, beautiful fish in the aquarium. Everybody saw me very clearly. Everybody knew me, and nobody asked questions about my like expertise or abilities or any kind of skill set. And now I jumped from this really, really nice and safe environment to the ocean directly without any kind of, like, like preliminary like steps or anything or preparation. And now I'm a very, very small, tiny fish in this ocean, and nobody sees me because it's huge, it's like unbelievable, like scale in 1 second, literally. And when I realized it, looks like you may say that nothing has changed, you just see this picture like in a very funny way. But now I know what I need to do. I need to grow to a shark, to be bigger, to be visible, to be like important in this environment. And it's super challenging, and actually usually it drives me crazy. I mean, in a good way, that like gives me a lot of energy, and even when I'm saying to you, it's like motivates me. So starting from those particular moment, everything became super clear, super easy, and I had this kind of energy to move further and to make new decisions, and actually not being stuck, in this position with the question, who am I, what am I going to do, what's going on, and so on.
Well, just developing, going forward.
Yeah.
From my point of view, I would say trying new formats, like working for startups instead of big corporations, as you've told, and also changing the industry a bit, freelance projects. We also talk with you a lot about developing own social media.
And personal brand.
Personal brand, that's how we're coming to this the hard way, but we have realized why one needs it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And actually, I think a small word on your format of actually trying your own business in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, suddenly this kind of a very, very reasonable, let's say, call it like this, cost of living gave me a freedom and ability to think a bit bigger, because I had a lot of thoughts about becoming an entrepreneur, for example, in Moscow, but I've never had this power to start something there because it's like super hard. I felt it this way, at least. Of course, like it's still easier than in Europe, they say. But when I came to Sri Lanka, and when I felt this kind of relief in terms of like the day-to-day cost, now I have a lot of ideas what can be done better, and especially because this island is still developing, the country is still developing, and it has so much potential in different fields. So it is inspiring, definitely.
To better use your money, like opening a new business.
Yeah.
Better use of your time, like going for a run in the morning, or going to the beach in your case, and then working to balance the sports, the recreation, and the work life.
Yeah. And it's surprisingly, I had this idea in my mind like really long time ago, how it would be really nice to put myself and my goals first, and the work related later on, like as a second like point, because like usually I did it the opposite. Like my job is the number one.
And in the corporation, you almost never can do that. You have to step out first.
Yes. So it's like, so my first reaction always is actually put like job in front of me as a priority number one, like put all my effort, and the rest, maybe I have something for my personal life, but in most cases I didn't. So, and here, like suddenly I have the whole first half of the day for myself because my working day starts at 1 p.m. Wow. So you can imagine, like, no matter what, I have my like private life first. And it's like, dreams came true just suddenly by changing these time zones.
Amazing,
I
amazing.
didn't know that you can do it so easily, you know, just change the time zone, you know?
Exactly. We have about 3 minutes in our short Zoom format.
Yeah.
And I have the final question about the future of this digital nomadism.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think it fits into the big picture of a person's life?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a stage of life, like a gap year after college that many people did and probably will do?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the lifestyle for the entire life for a certain type of people? What would you say?
You know, I've heard it theory that actually the whole market changing to this direction, that companies, even like big corporations, they would prefer, probably they will prefer to hire freelancer for on a short-term basis for most of their projects and ideas, because it gives it some kind of flexibility in terms of planning, in terms of their financing and so on. And the whole environment actually right now, thanks to our pandemic stage, developed so well that actually definitely supports this kind of approach. So I do believe that we will see the development of this type of approach more and more, and actually a pretty significant part of the society will rely on their personal brand and freelance contracts rather than going to the corporation and stick.
For the entire career span. So
Yeah. Of course, I think we will have these two tracks. Nobody will disappear, but freelance part, I think it, and digital nomads movement will develop a lot more. That's my bet.
yeah, I've heard a forecast from The Economist that we are going to have 1 billion digital nomads by 2035, I believe. So we are definitely growing to big numbers, but how big and how soon, I think we got this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I remember that you told me that you are doing some research regarding this, right? That you are going to publish it. And, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I was going to say as a wrap up. At first, thank you very much for doing this. And yes, I'm researching this trend to publish a report on how to use this trend, which companies are already using this trend, like hot startups in this industry, and how they earn money on this trend, on the digital nomads. So
super interesting.
So subscribe to me, subscribe to Maria. We will put some links in the description. Thank you everyone who has watched or listened this. We'll post this on different social media. And if you like it, please drop us a word, because we need your support to keep this going.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was lovely.